Hello everyone, welcome to my channel, Bachelor Nation News fans. The golden sunset bathes the coast in a warm glow, its rays shimmering across the gently lapping waves. Cindy stood at the edge of the cliff, her hair whipping around her face in the salty breeze. She held a letter in her trembling hands, the edges worn and folded from being read over and over. Her heart raced, caught between fear and hope, between memories and possibilities. Mel's silhouette appeared in the distance, walking steadily toward her. Each step seemed to echo against the rocky shore. Cindy's breath caught. She hadn't seen him in months, not since the whirlwind season of The Golden Bachelor ended. They had shared moments that made the world around them fade into nothingness, but life had pulled them apart, leaving uncertainty in its wake. Cindy. Mel's voice carried across the wind, low and rough with emotion. He stopped a few feet away, his eyes scanning her face as if memorizing every line, every expression. Cindy's lips quivered. "You don't have to say anything, Mel. I already know." Mel took a deep breath, closing the distance between them. "No, Cindy, you deserve to hear it. I've been lost without you. Every day, every hour. Where have you been all my life?" His words were a confession, heavy and raw, carrying years of longing in just a few syllables. Cindy's eyes filled with tears. She laughed softly, a sound that mingled with the crashing waves. "I could ask you the same thing, Mel. I've been waiting for this moment, for you, for us." For a moment, time seemed to freeze. The ocean, the cliffs, the horizon, all faded into insignificance. Only the two of them existed, drawn together by a gravity stronger than distance, rumors, or the chaos of reality television. Mel reached for her hand, his fingers trembling slightly as they intertwined with hers. I tried to fight it, tried to convince myself that what we had was just a fleeting connection, but nothing else felt real, nothing else mattered. Cindy's heart raced faster, a warmth spreading from her chest to her fingertips. "I never stopped believing in us, Mel. Even when everyone else doubted, even when the cameras were gone and the world forgot, I held on to what we shared, and here you are." They stood on the edge of the cliff, letting the waves roar beneath them. The sun dipped lower, painting the sky in shades of gold and pink as if the universe itself was celebrating their reunion. Mel's eyes glistened. "I don't want to waste another second, Cindy. Will you give us a chance? A real chance? Away from all the cameras? Away from everything else?" Cindy felt tears slip down her cheeks, a mix of joy and relief. "Yes, Mel. I've been waiting for this moment my whole life." They embraced, the kind of embrace that healed wounds and erased months of separation. Their hearts beat in unison, a rhythm that seemed to echo across the cliffs and into the world beyond. From that distance, fans watching the reunion could only gasp. The internet exploded with reactions, hashtags, memes, and emotional confessions from viewers who had rooted for them from the start. Social media couldn't handle the intensity, and clips of their reunion went viral within minutes. "Cindy and Mel are finally together," one trending post shouted. "Where have you been all my life?" the world asked Cindy and Mel, another joked. Emojis flooded timelines: heart, scary face, crying face, fire. But for Cindy and Mel, none of that mattered. The world could watch, comment, and cheer, but in that moment, all that existed was their love, a love stronger than distance, rumors, or any obstacle the world could throw at them. As night fell, they sat together on the cliff, wrapped in blankets, watching the stars emerge one by one. Mel gently brushed a strand of hair from Cindy's face. "I think we are always meant to find each other," he whispered. Cindy leaned her head on his shoulder. "And now we have forever." And as the moon rose high above them, casting a silver glow across the waves, Cindy and Mel's hearts finally found the home they had been searching for.
The golden lights of the
all along.
ballroom shimmered like liquid fire, reflecting off the crystal chandeliers above. Cameras flashed incessantly, capturing every moment for the millions of viewers glued to their screens. The air was thick with anticipation, as if the universe itself was holding its breath. Cindy adjusted the strap of her shimmering silver gown, her heart pounding like a drum in her chest. She had walked countless red carpets before, but tonight was different. Tonight wasn't about glitz, fame, or applause. Tonight was about truth. Across the room, Mel stood near the grand staircase, looking impossibly handsome in a tailored midnight blue suit. But even the perfectly fitted tuxedo couldn't hide the vulnerability in his eyes, the quiet storm of emotions swirling just beneath his composed exterior. For months, fans had speculated, theorized, and even argued online about the mysterious connection between Cindy and Mel. Were they simply colleagues, friends, or something more? Tonight, that question would finally be answered. As the host's voice echoed through the hall, Cindy felt her pulse spike. "Ladies and gentlemen," the host began, "we have witnessed many confessions on the Golden Bachelor, but none quite like this. Tonight, two hearts are ready to speak their truth, and it's a story that will leave you breathless." Cindy's lips trembled as she made her way to the center of the stage, the spotlight following her every step. Mel was already there, waiting, and for the first time in months, she dared to let her walls down. Their eyes met, and in that instant the world fell away. "Mel," Cindy's voice was barely audible over the roar of the crowd, but somehow it carried. "I've searched for you in every corner of my life, without even realizing it, and now that I see you, I can't believe we let all this time pass." Mel's hand trembled as he reached for hers. "Cindy, I've felt the same way. Every laugh, every tear, every quiet moment, I've wanted you by my side, but I didn't know how to tell you. I guess I was afraid that if I spoke my heart, I'd lose you forever." The audience gasped. Cameras zoomed in on the tender exchange. Social media exploded in real time, fans typing, tweeting, and streaming live reactions. "And now?" the host asked softly, leaning in. "Now," Cindy whispered, her voice thick with emotion, "I don't want another second without you. Mel, where have you been all my life?" Mel's eyes glistened as he pulled her into an embrace that seemed to stretch time itself. "I've been right here, Cindy, waiting, hoping, loving you in every way I could, without saying it aloud." For a heartbeat, there was silence. Then the world erupted. Applause thundered, cameras flashed, and tears streamed down the faces of fans and fellow contestants alike. But beyond the spectacle, beyond the lights and the applause, Cindy and Mel knew something deeper had shifted. This wasn't a show. This wasn't a performance. This was the raw, unfiltered truth of two souls recognizing each other after a lifetime of almosts and maybes. And as they held each other, the question lingered, not for them, but for everyone watching. Could this love survive the glare of fame, the scrutiny of millions, and the chaos of life beyond the cameras? For Cindy and Mel, the answer was simple. They had already survived the hardest part, finding each other. The crowd watched mesmerized as they whispered promises that were private, yet somehow everyone could feel their weight. Their hearts were intertwined, and in that moment,
dimmed
nothing else mattered.
slightly as Cindy and Mel stood hand in hand, basking in the intensity of the moment. But behind the glittering stage, their minds were flooded with memories, moments of near encounters, missed chances, and the quiet longing that had defined years of their separate lives. Cindy remembered the first time she met Mel. It had been at a charity gala years ago, long before either of them imagined stepping onto a reality TV stage. He had smiled at her across a crowded room, and for a fleeting second, the world had felt still. She had brushed it off at the time. After all, who could predict that a single glance would linger in your heart for years? Mel, on the other hand, had never forgotten her laugh. The way it bubbled up, unrestrained and full of life, had stayed with him through lonely nights and empty hotel rooms. He had tried to move on, dated others, distracted himself with work, but Cindy's image had remained, a ghostly beacon of what could be, if only life were kinder. Now, here they were, standing in front of millions, and the years of longing and uncertainty had condensed into one electrifying moment. The host leaned in, sensing the perfect timing for the next reveal. "Before you both take the next step, tell us, what made you finally realize that this was it?" Cindy swallowed hard, her voice shaking as she spoke. "I realized that life is too short for hesitation. I've spent too long asking, 'What if?' and ignoring the truth staring me in the face.
I didn't want to lose another day. Mel, you are my heart, my home, my everything. Mel's eyes softened as he replied, and I finally understood that love isn't about waiting for the perfect moment. It's about recognizing the perfect person. Cindy, I've been waiting for you my whole life, without knowing it. I can't imagine another tomorrow without you in it. The audience was on their feet, applause echoing like a storm. Cameras captured every tear, every smile, every tremor in their intertwined hands. Social media exploded with hashtags. Hashtag Cindy and Mel. Hashtag Golden Bachelor Love. Hashtag Heartfelt Confession. Fans flooded online forums with messages of support and awe. Everyone had been waiting for this, and it had surpassed all expectations. Backstage, Cindy's daughter, Lila, watched the broadcast nervously. She had been the one to encourage her mother to take a chance, nudging her toward honesty even when Cindy hesitated. Lila's eyes glistened with tears of pride. "Mom, you did it," she whispered. Even Mel's closest friends, who had doubted the timing and the show's pressures, were moved beyond words. "I didn't think it could happen like this," one whispered, shaking his head. But they were meant to find each other. As the lights dimmed for the final segment, Cindy and Mel took a slow, deliberate walk across the ballroom floor. Every step felt symbolic, a journey from loneliness to connection, from fear to fearless love. Finally, they reached the grand staircase. The host's voice was barely audible over the collective gasp of the audience. "Cindy? Mel? Tonight you've shown everyone that love isn't about timing. It's about truth, courage, and the willingness to follow your heart." Cindy looked at Mel, her eyes shining. "So what now?" she asked softly. Mel smiled, brushing a stray strand of hair from her face. "Now we start our life together. No scripts, no cameras, no pretending. Just us." The audience erupted once more. But Cindy and Mel barely noticed. They were wrapped in each other's arms, laughing and crying in a mix of relief and euphoria. The world could wait. For once, their love was the only thing that mattered. In that moment, Cindy realized that every missed opportunity, every lonely night, and every doubt had led to this. The universe had a way of bringing the right hearts together, even if it took longer than expected. Mel whispered in her ear, "I promise to never let you go. Not now, not ever." Cindy rested her head on his shoulder, feeling a warmth that words could never capture. "And I promise to meet you in every sunrise, every challenge, every joy. You're my forever, Mel." As the cameras continued to roll, capturing every heartbeat, every glance, and every whispered promise, fans everywhere held their breath, knowing they had witnessed something rare and magical. A confession that wasn't just for television, but
Long
for the
before
soul.
the golden lights and cameras, Cindy had been navigating life on her own. A single mother, balancing work, family, and dreams, she rarely thought about romance. Love had always felt like a luxury, something that happened to other people. But there had been moments, brief, fleeting sparks, where she wondered what it would be like to find someone who truly saw her. Mel's story was no less complicated. He had been devoted to his career, traveling across the country, meeting people, and yet feeling a quiet emptiness. Relationships came and went, but none had anchored him. He often thought about the one woman he had met years ago, the one whose laugh haunted his dreams and whose kindness had touched him more than he could explain. Fate had been playing its hand quietly, sending them near each other at unexpected times. At a charity gala, they had shared a dance under twinkling lights. Later, at a mutual friend's wedding,
They had laughed over shared memories and stolen glances. Each time, life pulled them apart just as quickly as it brought them together. Cindy had wondered about him in those quiet moments, but Mel had been oblivious, or perhaps cautious, scared of opening a door he might not be ready to walk through. Yet the connection had lingered, an invisible thread binding them across cities, events, and years. When the Golden Bachelor came calling, neither of them expected love. Cindy initially signed on to face the cameras for her daughter, Leela, who insisted her mother deserved happiness. Mel, on the other hand, thought it would be another professional opportunity, a chance to showcase charm and charisma on screen. But the universe had different plans. It started with subtle glances. During rehearsals, Cindy caught Mel watching her just for a second before looking away with that half-smile she had never forgotten. Mel noticed Cindy laughing with the other contestants, and for the first time in years, felt that old pull in his chest. Then came the first one-on-one interaction, a quiet conversation backstage, away from the cameras, where they spoke about fears, dreams, and life's disappointments. Cindy shared her worries about balancing love with family responsibilities. Mel confessed the loneliness he had carried despite a busy, successful life. And in those moments, the walls they had built over years began to crumble. But fame, timing, and fear of rejection lingered like shadows. They danced around the truth, each terrified of ruining the fragile connection they had. Weeks went by with stolen glances, brief touches, and conversations that ended too soon. Fans began to notice. Social media exploded with speculation. Some called it fate. Others insisted it was a TV show ploy. But Cindy and Mel knew the truth. What they felt was real, raw, and terrifying in its intensity. Then came the turning point. During a live taping, a minor misunderstanding nearly drove them apart. Cindy had misread a comment Mel made as indifference, and Mel had interpreted her quiet distance as rejection. The tension was almost unbearable. That night, each went to bed haunted by the possibility of losing what they hadn't yet admitted existed. The next morning, both received a message from Leela, Cindy's daughter. She wrote, "Mom, don't let fear steal this from you. You'll regret it if you don't tell him. Life is too short." Mel's phone buzzed with a similar message from his sister. "Sometimes you have to take the leap. Don't let the perfect person slip by because of timing." Those words struck like lightning. That evening, when they were alone for a final rehearsal, the air was charged. Cindy took a deep breath, her heart pounding. "Mel, I can't do this anymore. I can't hide how I feel. I need you to know I've been waiting for you without even knowing it." Mel's eyes softened and the tension melted. "Cindy, I felt the same way. Every step, every day apart, I thought about you. I was scared of ruining what we already had, but I can't hide anymore either." That confession, spoken quietly backstage, became the catalyst for the public declaration. When they stepped onto the main stage that night, their hearts were aligned, their courage united. They weren't performing for anyone, not the audience, not the cameras. They were performing for each other. Part 4. The confession that shocked everyone. As Cindy and Mel took center stage, the audience could feel the electricity. Their hands intertwined, they looked out over the crowd and spoke from their hearts. "Where have you been all my life?" Cindy whispered, voice trembling but steady, as if the words had been waiting years to be released. Mel's reply was equally raw. "I've been here, Cindy, waiting, hoping, loving you in ways I couldn't yet say, but now I'm done hiding." The crowd erupted. Fans cheered, cried, and clutched their hearts as cameras captured the first embrace of what would become a love story for the ages. Backstage, Leela and Mel's friends watched with tears streaming. They knew this was more than TV drama. This was destiny. "They finally found each other," Leela whispered. "They were meant to be." Even as the applause roared, Cindy and Mel's world had narrowed to each other. No flashing cameras, no social media chaos, just two hearts that had finally stopped running and started beating together.